With this video, I want to provide a sort of textbook chapter on how Pro League teams are attacking the garage objective on Consulate. But unlike my usual content, this video is geared towards people who are not regularly watching Pro League. I'm basically trying to make Pro League a bit more accessible, and I think that a better understanding of the default strategies makes for a better viewing experience. At least that's what I hope. So let's just jump right in. When it comes to understanding a strategy, it often makes sense to use backwards induction. Basically, we start at the end of the round and then we work our way backwards. For this particular strategy, we want to end up in a situation where we plant the bomb in garage. And now, we just have to ask ourselves what we need to do in order to accomplish that. If we want to plant in garage, we need to force the defenders out of garage. If we want to force the defenders out of garage, we need to play vertically. If we want to play vertically, we need to clear the map. And just like that, we got our 3-stage game plan together. First stage is to clear the map. Second stage is to play vertically. And the third stage is to plant the bomb. So that's kind of the skeleton of our attack. Now let's flesh it out a bit, starting with the first stage, clearing the map. Naturally, the defenders aren't just going to surrender the entire map immediately. Instead, you often find them playing around yellow stairs and CEO. This position allows them to waste the attacker's time by shooting drones and maybe preferring a bit, but it also gives them access to an easy way of falling back once the attackers are about to overwhelm them. So what do you do against that from an attacking point of view? Of course, the most important thing is to get into the map. Sounds pretty obvious, but it explains why Pro League teams always start with an admin side clear. Defenders can't play an admin, so it kind of works like a beachhead for the attackers. The second most important thing is to apply pressure from multiple directions. If you just have your entire team push from admin, you're giving the defenders way too much space to move around, and they will be able to waste a lot of time, or worse, get easy kills. That's why in this situation, attackers will often have a player on CEO windows. It applies pressure and limits the playable area, which often leads to defenders falling back as soon as the admin attackers are closing in on them. Speaking of defenders falling back, a lot of teams are going to have a player outside yellow stairs to potentially cut off the roamers as they are rotating back to site. But of course everyone knows about that, so you rarely see a kill here. At this point in the round, the attackers have top floor control and the defenders have fallen back to the ground floor, where they are probably playing in and around bathroom. Now, there are a few different variations of this hold, depending on which walls the defender has reinforced, but for the purpose of this video, I only want to focus on what the attackers do against the bathroom hold, because that really is what separates the mediocre Consulate teams from the great ones. In my opinion, the most efficient way of clearing bathroom is to get your Heart Breacher over to destroy this wall in Zulu. No matter against which variation you're playing, this almost always just forces the bathroom player to fall back to site, and that's exactly what you want. On the other hand, the teams that are not as proficient on Consulate kind of just have to walk into bathroom and take their chances. Alright, at this point the attackers have finally cleared the map. So now we enter the second stage of the strat, playing vertically. But in order to do that safely, the attackers first need to make sure that the defenders can't just retake the map while they're busy. So that's why Pro League teams always have a flank watch player in Visa. From that position, you can use drones, or his gadgets, to prevent any kind of Visa stairs or spiral stairs flank. In the meantime, we have Sledge and someone else opening the floor in piano. We have a Heart Breacher outside garage, and the last player is usually playing somewhere close to yellow stairs to prevent any kind of aggression on that staircase. With that in mind, let's take a deeper look at how exactly Pro League teams are playing vertically, because obviously they're not just randomly opening holes. First of all, it's very important to destroy mute jammers on garage wall as soon as possible, so that Thermite can open the wall. Because if the attackers don't do that immediately, they allow the defenders to contest the holes in the ceiling. And sure, unless you get C4'd, these fights are generally attacker favored. But getting kills here is just not the real objective. What the attackers really want to do here is setting up their plant. And for that, it's fine if all 5 defenders are still alive, as long as they are zoned out of garage. And by opening the garage wall as soon as possible, you combine vertical pressure from piano with horizontal pressure from outside garage. And usually that just straight up forces defenders to leave garage. Now that the defenders are gone, the only thing that's left in order to set up the execute is to get rid of all the utility that the defenders placed in garage. Very common are evil eyes around white van, barbed wire in front of white van, and maybe a shield around pipes or security hallway. This is also the moment where the attackers, or more specifically the Visa player, needs to be really paying attention. Because if the defenders are going for a flank, they are doing it right now. At the moment, flanking isn't really that popular, but in my opinion, there are still a good number of opportunities, especially around spiral stairs. And every so often, there will be a defender that manages to slip through the cracks. But let's go back to a situation where the defenders aren't going for a flank right now. Again, we have a flankboard player in Visa, we have our planter outside garage, we have a player around yellow stairs, and 2 in piano. Most importantly though, all of the defenders are zoned out of garage. So it's time to execute, right? Yes, it is. But looking at this situation, you might be wondering why Thermite hasn't opened the left side of the garage wall yet. Turns out that this is actually a really smart play. Of course, you really want both panels to be open because that makes the post plant very easy. But first, you need to run in to plant the bomb. And for that, it would be really nice if the left side of the wall was closed, because then you aren't exposed to bullet holes and punch holes around security and cafeteria. So the solution is to place your thermite shot on the left side of the wall, but you don't breach it until you're running in to plant. That way, you get the best of both worlds. Your approach is covered, but you also get nice post-plant angles that allow your teammates to cover the plant. But where do you actually plant? Consulate Garage is probably the site with the single most viable plant spots. In order of popularity, we have white van, black box, trash, black car, or bomb. The most common plant spot is obviously in front of white van, because in order to deny you here, the defenders have to push quite deep into garage. But I actually don't think that it's the best spot. And recently, we've seen more and more teams gravitate towards planting black box. Now, it might look like the box is way too small to plant behind, but it turns out that during the plant animation, your head is actually low enough for you to be safe. But why is it a better plant spot than white van? I think it mainly comes down to dodging smokes. The most common way for defenders to deny plants here is of course not to push up all the way into garage. It's using smokes from the safety of security. And that's the crux of the issue. 90% of the time, the smoke player will be in security. But that means he won't be able to deny the black box plant. There's just no good angle to get the smoke over there. And that's what makes this plant so powerful. Because now, the defenders are actually forced to physically retake garage. But that's where they're getting shut down by the yellow stairs player, by the piano player, or maybe even by the Visa player. If everything went according to plan, the attackers have now planted the bomb. And honestly, that basically means that they've already won the round. Because again, the defenders would have to physically retake garage, and there's just way too much open space for them to do that. But even if the defenders manage to deny the plant, the attackers are oftentimes very much still in the game. They just have to shift their focus towards playing for kills instead of playing for a plant. And with the attackers applying pressure from so many different directions, that is definitely doable. The second garage player can push white van, the Visa player can walk down into lockers, and the yellow player can walk into site. And like this, many attacking teams have managed to come back from a situation where they couldn't plant the bomb. Most of the time, however, the round is actually decided during the plant. Either the attackers manage to shut down the garage retake, or they don't, and the defenders manage to deny the plant. Alright, that's the basic idea behind Consulate garage attacks. Let's quickly recap the core concepts. You can split the attack into 3 distinct stages: roam clear, vertical play, and execute. For the roam clear, attackers start by getting a foothold in admin, where they then clear the map from east to west, supported by a player on CO repel and a player to cut off bottom yellow stairs. After the top floor is cleared, the next objective is to clear bathroom. For that, you ideally get a hard breacher over who can open this part of the wall. Next, we want to consolidate our map control by sending a flank watch player over to Visa. In the meantime, the rest of the team can start working the site. Thermite opens garage, Sledge and Sophia are opening the floor and piano. And this combination of vertical and horizontal pressure is usually enough to zone the defenders out of garage. After clearing problematic utilities such as Maestro Evil Eyes, the attackers are ready to plant. Where exactly you end up planting honestly doesn't matter that much. As long as you manage to dodge defender smokes, you are pretty much good to go. Your main goal here is to create a situation in which the defenders are forced to physically retake garage. And that's where the attackers make use of the open space and the long range angles to shut them down. Alright, that's pretty much it for the video. Like I said at the beginning, I was kind of trying something new with this video, so I'm very much looking forward to your feedback. If you are someone who isn't regularly watching Pro League, was everything clear and understandable? Or should I have spent more time explaining something? And for the people that are regularly watching Pro League, was this just a big waste of time? Or did you maybe also gain a better understanding of the default strategy? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as a side note, I do actually read every comment. I just can't respond to every single one. Okay, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new, and thanks for watching.